It's a over 50 YouTube post about menopause is a monster. Listen, back in the day when I first started experiencing menopause symptoms, I had an irregular menstruation and I was always consistent. And it took me probably 4 years in perimenopause, if not more, to switch over to full menopause after being married for 2 years and realizing I had no menstrual cycle. And then I plunged into being depressed. And I didn't even know. Depressed, mourning for a mother who had passed like 30-something years ago. I was cooking all the time. Now, I'm a big girl, but it was a whole different kind of weight. It was a bloated weight. My face looked fat. My body was just bloated. And so I didn't know what was going on. I started baking and craving sweets and irritable. I didn't know what I was going through. I couldn't get enough. I didn't want to sleep. So I wasn't even going to lay in the bed with my husband. I was up 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know if I was reading, I was praying, I was fasting. I know one thing, I was going through a lot of changes. And it took a lady that I know. I worked for a nonprofit. I was working at a food pantry. And I began to tell her some of the symptoms I was going through. And she gave me a great book to read. This book was this thick. And when I opened up the book, it went right to menopause. And this author was a woman. And she talked about how when you get to menopause, and you don't know, in your 50s, I was in my 50s, what happens to your body. See, so a lot of people around the late 40s and 50s, immune system drops, and so they're susceptible to cancer. I don't know how true that is, but this is what the lady said. She said you begin to have food allergies, you crave foods, and she said the body began to shift. You gain weight, you cannot lose the weight. Your body get in a hormonal state. That means you look awkward. If you do lose weight, you lose weight in your lower body, but your stomach is still big. Your midsection is big. You get all this visceral fat. And not only the visceral fat, is that fat began to develop and you end up coming down with diabetes, high blood pressure. But then I also was experiencing something called adrenal fatigue. And it was stress. Even when I tried to lose weight, I could not, because the stress was preventing me. My marriage was the pits. My marriage was strained. It was being toxic. And all of those things, I was struggling for life. Nobody knew what I was going through. I wasn't being social. And I was mean. I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was something that nothing and nobody prepared me for. Granted, everybody has their own experience, but that was mine. When I look back at those pictures that I took back then, I looked absolutely horrible. My eyes was dark. My skin was dark. There was a different transformation in my whole body, in my mind, my body, my soul, even my spiritual life that always remained strong. I didn't want to go to church anymore. I didn't want to sing in the choir anymore. I was going through an emotional transition, and I did not know what was going on with my body for a long time. Menopause is a monster. Menopause is a monster. Menopause is a monster. But I got through it. And so will you. So if you don't know what's going on with your body, and hey, I was going to the doctor. I was even going to the dermatologist. Sometimes it's just that good old menopause, or along with depression and all the other symptoms that go with it. But I got through it. Menopause is a monster. Hey, stay encouraged and keep smiling.